The school week has ended on November 1st, 2019, and what does that mean for us? Me and my friend Stetson are on another run for trains. Welcome back to the Sunshine State Rails. On our well-frequented rails of Plant City, Florida, CSX train Q44101 is nearing our town. This is kind of a quick start to this video, including the fact that there is no intro. But I have to admit I'm falling back on some video uploads and need to get as much done as possible. But this weekend's plan was simple. Come out and railfan on Friday night, spend the night in Lakeland, and then railfan some more tomorrow morning before going back home about 4 o'clock. In the afternoon, that is. It was then that we had considered making our trip over to Lakeland to catch the evening locals, but then we heard a distant horn coming from the east. We thought it may have been an early local from Winston, but instead it was Amtrak 92, running at least 2 hours late, heading into Tampa about 7:40 p.m. Finally, that Plant City released us from its grasp and let us tread on to Lakeland. We snuck our way into downtown Lakeland, as we had heard on the radio 0713 requesting the JA dispatcher to give him permission toward Taft. If you remember my most previous video, railfanning across the Sunshine State, I actually took a night to railfan the area of Taft. This rock train, brought back for peak season, is headed right there. Well, I shouldn't say rock train, as it could probably have any other type of manifest that Taft needed, but at least for tonight it was a rock train. Have much time as we made our way over to Lakeland Junction, because CSX train Q046 was only a few miles away. This intermodal train coming out of Tampa was turning north here at Lakeland Junction to head north toward the S line and eventually to Jacksonville. After anticipating this train for the last couple of days, the wait wasn't too much longer for K85031, a northbound loaded phosphate train out of CSX's Bone Valley at Mulberry, headed towards Cicero, Illinois, for interchange to likely the BNSF. advantage of the opportunity we had, we headed over to the Lakeland Amtrak station to catch Amtrak 92, who was just now getting back out of Tampa, stopping at the Lakeland station. To my surprise, there were still a few passengers waiting to get on the train at 9:45 at night. Tonight's railfanning trip was especially comfortable when we got a cold front this weekend, dropping the temperature to this time to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was still decreasing, so we definitely have quite the night out here. Make one more trip to Lakeland Junction tonight, as Q17801 was nearing Lakeland. Q178 being nightly intermodal stack train traffic out of the Winter Haven Intermodal Logistics Center, headed up the same route as Q046 to Jacksonville. Our last train of tonight would come at Plant City, CSX train Q21402. As stated earlier, peak season has started, and with that being said, rack trains are back. By rack trains, I mean dedicated auto rack trains, where the trains are running with nothing but solid auto racks. Here, we are about to catch the empty version, Q214, heading up the A line out to Winston to pick up more empties before heading north on the Vitus subdivision to Baldwin, Florida. That would be the end of tonight's railfanning, but we still had more to do tomorrow, so the next morning we're out fairly early. The first train we see, well, was technically Q213, the opposite of the train we just saw, loaded auto racks headed from Baldwin to Winston to drop off some for Palm Center, then to Tampa. Although while waiting on 213, we got to see another train coming out, CSX train 0738. This train is headed over to Auburndale and I believe Davenport to do some switching work around there. But we had no more time to waste. Q213 had done his work and had his Tampa racks. Now he was flying toward Tampa with them in hand. I see? You bet it is. CSX train K81129, an empty phosphate train running from Cicero, Illinois back to Winston, Florida, eventually to Mulberry, had two BNSF locomotives. There's only one here, you may be saying. Well, the other one's not here, it's on the other end. And due to a switch replacement in Lakeland, this phosphate train will be taking the Plant City side, as we call it, basically coming through Plant City instead of Lakeland. It would then be after a short chase that we would observe as K811 rounds the Y at Winston to head into the yard, change crews, and then eventually head to Mulberry. We went and got some food, and afterwards we came back to Winston, Florida, because we heard something not too common happening around there. CSX train 0709, which is a train that usually works industries around Plant City only, had made his way over to Winston today and was backing in with some empty rock hoppers. Normally this is something that 0709 would never do, though he has done it once before, and this is the second time that I know of him actually doing this. Reportedly, since I have some friends as the crew today, as they were leaving Yeoman, the dispatcher called them up and told them to grab some empty rock hoppers, and now they're bringing them to Winston. And since they're here, Winston said, "Hey, we've got some loads for you. Can you take those out?" So they did too. So 709 picks up the loads and they head to Tampa. Just barely, apparently. From what I heard, they took about 10 minutes to actually get up to speed. Those rock hoppers were almost too much for that one engine they had. We had one last train to see on our weekend trip. CSX train Q604, headed from Winston Yard to Waycross, Georgia. Now running under a daylight schedule, was rerouted through Plant City today, so we got to see it as our last train. Q604 is headed north, and we were headed south. Thanks for joining me on our quick little weekend adventure here in Central Florida on our favorite rails. We will definitely be out here again soon, and I'll see you on that next journey out here on the Sunshine State Rails.